Hello everybody, I'm Tessa Shepperson of Landlord Law, and I'm here today with James Kilpatrick, who is from Hammock, who have a very exciting new product. James, let me first of all introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the new product that you're here to talk to us about.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you very much, Tessa. So I am in the business development team at Hammock. So Hammock is about to release the UK's first current account that is designed specifically for landlords and property managers. So it automates your rent collection and your bookkeeping. It notifies you when rent is paid or when rent is late, automatically tracks your arrears, and then ultimately helps you file your, prepare your tax return in minutes. So it's a kind of a revolutionary product in the property space, and we're really excited to show it to your users.
Excellent. Right. So I think you've got a little presentation you're going to start off with. So shall we move to that?
Yeah, of course. Let me just do that now. Okay. So I'm going to take you through this today. So what we're going to cover, it's only a short presentation, but I'm just going to kind of talk to you about what Hammock is, why, as a landlord, you might choose Hammock, and then the bulk of it will be me taking you through an actual demo so that you can see the platform in action and see how it works. So the idea for Hammock, it was born back in 2018, and it all came about from the frustrations that our CEO felt. He's called Manoj Vasani. He's a portfolio landlord, and with a separate job on the side, managing 5 properties, and just always feeling a little bit behind. Like I haven't updated my spreadsheet for a month. I can't remember what did I spend that money on, and it always kind of felt that nagging stress that he was always a little bit behind. And kind of felt it was frustrating that he had a bank account that was collecting the money, paying out any expenses, but it wasn't doing anything with that data. It wasn't making his life any easier. And when he kind of drilled down into the nitty gritty of his portfolio, he realized that whilst the bank balance looked good on its own, his portfolio was making money. He actually found that one of his properties was losing money. And by not having that granularity, he wasn't able to make really great, the best business decisions. And also when it comes to preparing his taxes at the end of the year, when your accountant chases you for the dreaded spreadsheet, he then ended up having to spend like 2 days to get everything together, and just realized there must be a better way ultimately, which is where Hammock came along. So Manoj created Hammock to try and bring the power of financial technology to the property sector, which is a sector that's just been neglected for a long time. Still too much reliance on spreadsheets that can be deleted, paper and pen. Sometimes it really doesn't get the care and progress that a lot of other sectors get, which is kind of where Hammock's come along. Now, obviously, I'll show you the platform in a second, but the way that you can use Hammock, there's basically 2 ways. So there is the existing way, which we launched back in March. That is our open banking platform. Now, for those who don't know what open banking is, it literally just means that you connect your existing bank account to our platform. You'll then be able to see all of your transactions, and then you can start categorizing them, linking them to properties, etc. And we pull that data through, so when you spend money in your account, you will see those transactions in Hammock. And the thing we're really excited about is next month we're launching our own current account. So as I said before, that this is the UK's first current account that is designed specifically for the needs of landlords. And the great thing is these 2 products can be used together. And in fact, we would encourage you to use them together, because even if you signed up for a current account with us today, in order to complete your tax return, you would still want to connect your old account to do your kind of historical transactions. And therefore, you could use the Hammock current account to collect your rent, but maybe you connected another account that you pay your mortgage from. There's lots of ways these 2 things can work together. And of course, if you don't want to open a current account with us and you want to stick with your existing, then that solution is already there for you.
With the open banking.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's no, you don't have to use the current account with us. As a subscriber, then you get the option of one. But if you just want to continue using your Barclays or your NatWest, if you're very happy with your setup already, then you can just connect those and off you go. But if you are looking for something to to separate your property finances or use an account that has better tracking, then you can open an account with us, and that's both personal and business. So I guess the question is why Hammock? And there are kind of three main pillars to Hammock that we kind of try and live by, I guess. The first is that we use the power of technology to give you practical help in managing your property finances. So we want to give you an instant snapshot at any time of exactly how your portfolio is performing so that you can make better decisions. And that is, whether you're logging in from a laptop, your phone, tablet, it means that you can see your profit and loss by property. You can see your arrears. You can see have payments been, has rent been received, is rent late. You can see all of that from at any time on the go. We also want to save you time from manual tasks effectively. So, instead of having to constantly update a spreadsheet, in Hammock, once you track a rent payment once, as you go forward, next time that tenant pays, it will track automatically. So we tell you when the rent's been paid rather than the other way around. And finally, we really just want to help you make tax season much quicker and easier. So as I mentioned before, one of the frustrations that Manoj felt when he came up with the idea of Hammock is because it took him 2 days to get all his bookkeeping and tax return ready. This year, using Hammock, he did it in under 30 minutes. Really to show you that the amount of time it can save, and it also meant that instead of usually he waits till his accountant starts chasing him over Christmas. Instead, he just did it in April and just sent it off, and and it's done. Weight off your mind.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I was going to jump into the demo now. Unless I don't know if you have any specific questions before I do that.
I've just got a comment. I think it's really good that you notify landlords when the tenants haven't paid rent, because that's really the best time to approach tenants about paying rent and not letting the arrears accrue. So I think that is a really good benefit of the system, and it'll allow you to keep on top of things.
Exactly, and actually you'll even be able to, the minute you get that notification, you will also be able to then open your phone, open your laptop, and you'll be able to click a button to send a notification immediately to the landlord, to the tenant as well, and which is actually good for everyone, because it means that they don't build up a large arrears. They can manage things when they need to, and as a landlord, you're fully in control. You don't let things get away from you. But I'll show you a bit more kind of how that works now as we jump into the actual product.
Okay, great.
So so I hope you can see my screen and the dashboard. So this is Hammock. I should sort of say straight away that the one thing that we always have in mind when we design any new feature on Hammock is for it to be easy to use, and I hope you'll see that as we go through. At the top here, we have our different kind of main categories. So we're currently on the properties page. Does exactly what it says on the tin. It shows you your properties. So you've got your high level figures at the top. So number of properties, how many of them are vacant, what your arrears are, and your mortgage balance. And then underneath that, you obviously see any properties you have. We only have 2 in here at the moment, but it shows you your income, your expenses, and your profit. So you can kind of compare how your properties are doing, if you have any arrears. And I'll quickly show you just how easy it is to add new properties. So we just click up there. We have a smart system, so you either start typing the first line of the address or the postcode. I just start typing and it will come up. I select the property and I hit add. It's as simple as that. Then we have this new property, obviously it's currently unoccupied because I haven't added any tenants, and we haven't tracked any expenses. But for the ones that we have, you can also click this little drop down and it will kind of show you graphically how your income and expenses are going for the year, and give you some more details around like your loan to value and that kind of portfolio information. Okay. So obviously what I want to do now is I want to show you how easy it is to track transactions so that we can start getting some figures feeding through for the new property.
And this is for the open banking system you have at the moment?
Yes. So this is, and if I jump over to the transaction screen, you'll see here, this is where you connect your bank account. You can add as many different bank accounts as you like, and they will all appear underneath. Obviously, we have a mock account set up here with dummy data, but it works exactly the same way with live data. And next month, when we do launch the current account, if you did open the current account with us as well, you would see both of these side by side, and you'll be able to flick between the two effectively on the same screen. Mm-hmm. So once you've connected your bank account, you're going to see all of your transactions underneath. But especially for people who use maybe their current account, that a lot of people may have other transactions that are non-property in there as well. So the idea is that we want to find those transactions that are for property, and they're the ones we want to track. And to do that, you've got these filters that we can use at the top. So you can search by date, you can search by amounts, you can search by keyword. And so I want to find a rent payment for the property I just added. I know the rent's £420, so I'm just going to search for any transaction above 420. And if I scroll down, I can see on the 28th of August, this is the most recent rent payment I'm looking for. So I'm just going to click on that transaction. I then need to categorize it, and rental income is already selected. I'll then select the property, 149. And at this point, this is where I need to add either a tenant or a letting agent. So if you get your rent directly paid by a tenant, then you add a tenant. If you get it paid via a letting agent who takes a monthly fee, you'd add the letting agent. And if you do that, when Hammock tracks the rent, it will automatically top the rent up to the full rental amount, and it will also automatically create the letting agent fee. So that in terms of your tax return, your income and expenses are correct.
Okay.
So I'm just going to add a tenant, really simple, put the name in. Some of this data is taken from the transaction itself. And I know the tenancy started in January, so I'm just going to put the tenancy start date. The tenancy start date is important because that's how we calculate your arrears balance. I'm just going to add the tenant and hit save. So that transaction has now been tracked. What that means is next month, when that tenant pays, the system will track that automatically. I'll get a notification that it's been paid, and it will get added to my income and to my tax statement. But what's even better is Hammock has also looked back through my previous transactions. So it's scraped through all my data, and it's found some similar payments. So I'm just going to click review and track, and I can see straight away, these are all the same amount. The dates, I can see this is my rental payments from July to January. So I'm just going to select those and hit track. Similarly, if I wanted to do the same with expenses, might flick through and say this Tesco mobile. So this obviously, if I click on an expense rather than an income, the categories are different. And most of these categories will have subcategories. So for example, if I click on maintenance, it's got lots of subcategories, which all of these relate specifically to the things that landlords would need to spend. Same for insurance, same for utilities. So it really is, it gives you that granular level. And based on the way you categorize these things, it's how it feeds into your tax statement, which I'll show you in a second. But for here, I'm just going to say this is the telephone. Again, I'm going to select my property. I'm going to say it's a monthly payment and hit save. So that transaction has been tracked. And again, it's looked back through my transaction. It's found some similar ones. And I can look through and track as many of these as I like. Maybe I just want to, maybe these ones are the ones that relate to that property, and just hit track. So now, again, if that's a regular payment, that will track automatically as well, just like the rent payment would. And if I jump back to the property screen, you can see now we've got income, we have expenses, we can see what profit we're making. You can see that there's no arrears balance. And I say that, and that property now should track, all the regular payments should track automatically. So it just saves me a lot of time. If we jump over to the overview, this basically gives you, lets you look at your whole portfolio as a snapshot. So sort of graphically, you can see how it's doing. Makes it really easy to spot any void periods or any defaults where you see these little dips in your income, and equally, maybe see some spikes in your expenses where you had to replace a boiler or whatever. But kind of just helps you kind of see how your financial story is moving. Similarly, if you enter your property data, so valuations, purchase and mortgage price, will give you your loan to value for your portfolio and kind of show you how much headroom you've got in the current market. You can see your occupancy rates, your missing and upcoming payments. You can compare your rental yields, and even down here you can see your arrears. I'll show you the arrears in just a second. So I just want to jump over to the tenancies screen. So again, this is just a list of all your tenancies, and it's a really nice way of being able to scroll down and see exactly how your arrears are getting on. And like if we dive into Pam Donald, who we can see here's in arrears. If you dive into the tenant page, you have this screen on the right hand side, which is a bit like a ledger, which kind of shows you like what's due and what was received for each period. And you can see in May, June and July, the rent was due and the rent was paid. But in August, if you look at August, there was rent due, nothing was received, and that's why they've ended up in arrears. So it's just a really nice way of helping you keep on top of things, which unfortunately in the current climate is actually more important than ever.
Can I just say something about that schedule there? I'm really pleased that you've set that out in that way, because that is the format that the court like rent arrears schedules to be laid out. So if you did have to bring proceedings against the tenant for rent arrears, you would be able to just print that out.
Exactly.
And that would be accepted by the court as a good format for presenting the rent arrears, because they like to have a running total balance up the side. Presumably can that be saved as a PDF or?
So right now it can't be, but very soon it will be saved as a PDF. But you can print this screen, and you can also download this data from the tax statement, as I'll show you in a second. So yeah, there's lots of ways you can get that data. So if I do now dive over to the tax statement, so ultimately the point of tracking all of these transactions is so that everything feeds into here, and this includes any transactions that you track from your bank transactions or any manual transactions. So you can add, if you get paid something in cash or you put something on a different card that's not connected, you can add those manually as well. But everything feeds into the tax statement. At the top here, you kind of get your headline figures, so you can see what is your taxable profit. You can do this on a property by property basis as well, or you can just look at your whole portfolio. Underneath that, you then see, if you're a self-assessment landlord, you basically see the different categories that you get in the SA 105, which is the UK property tax return. And this is obviously all based on the way that you categorize your own transactions. And this does also take into account Section 24 and the allowable interest changing year on year. So if you were going to go back and do last year, it would be 25% allowed, and this year 0. Mm-hmm. And then finally, underneath that, this is kind of the great bit. This is the bit that you're going to download, send off to your accountant, and be happy that you don't have to do any more work. This is your P&L statement by date, by category, by property, and you can download that. And it will also include where it feeds into these categories as well, to kind of give your accountant all the help they need. And I guess the final thing, which is away from the kind of finances, just because we want to help you stay compliant as well, for each of your properties, you can also upload all your important documents. So if I come in here, you upload the document, you pick your category, and then anything that has an expiry date, such as like a fire safety certificate, you enter the expiry date, and then we'll send you reminders when they're due to expire. So it just means you never get left where like your insurance has run out and you don't realize, or your gas certificates run out and you don't realize. So it kind of just helps you stay on top of everything.
That's brilliant.
And that is Hammock. I guess if I just dive back quickly into the presentation. So one other thing to mention is what we've got coming soon. So October is a huge month for Hammock. So as I sort of mentioned, we've got the current account coming out, which we're really excited about. We've already got quite a large waiting list, so it's obviously something that people are, have been wanting and are looking forward to. But we're also launching our mobile app, so everything you've just seen will be in your pocket. So you literally can manage everything on the go, and I think that's going to make a real difference. So it doesn't matter if you're like queuing up in Tesco's waiting for a lift, you can kind of quickly check. Oh yeah, or even if you spend money in a shop, you can straight away go in and categorize that transaction, so that you don't have to remember it a month later. So yeah.
I suppose the advantage of the current account is that provided you use the right card, it'll automatically go into your records, whereas with the other one, you've got to tell the system that that payment is property related and isn't, you know, I don't know, something to do with your kids' school shoes or something.
And also, actually, it makes the tracking even smarter because you know, with open banking we have you know, some information around, you know, amount, date, reference, etc. But if your tenant is paying into a Hammock current account, we know which account number and sort code that payment came from. So there's absolutely no doubt that that's a rent payment. Actually, it means that the reconciliation piece, you know, goes, you know, from 90 to 100. And I think it's also just you know, there are a lot of people out there who are still using their current account for their property finances, and actually getting those split up is just, you know, I think actually when you speak to most landlords, it's something they've been meaning to do for a while.
Yeah.
Around to. So we're hoping this will make that really easy for them.
Okay, well, I suppose what most landlords will be thinking at this stage is, how much does it cost?
Then it's, yeah, for 1 to 3 properties, it's £4.99 a month plus VAT. For if you have between 4 and 10 properties, it's £9.99 a month plus VAT. And then above 10 properties, it's effectively £1 per property a month plus VAT.
Yeah, well, it sounds really interesting. So if a landlord watching this wants to have a go, then they go to the web address on the screen and they can sign up for free and get their free trial.
Yeah, so if you go to usehammock.com, that's obviously where you'll learn also a lot more about our products and services, and you can read any of our FAQs and stuff. But there'll be a big button there just saying try for free. And when they do that, they will land on the property page that I started the demo at. So it would just be a case of adding their properties, which takes seconds, connecting their bank account, and then they can start tracking all of their payments. And we have, you know, we have a team of people on hand as well. So if any of your users sign up and want any help, there's a live chat on the platform.
Okay, right. Well, thank you very much, James, for coming along and explaining it all to us. And I'm sure that you will be having some more landlords coming along and taking a look at it. It looks like a really good service to me. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Really great.